So for today's History of a Variant video, I'll be taking a look at the heroic variant for the WW2, the NOBEL 2, and give you guys a little history of what this variant is based off of in real life. So if you're new to the History of a Variant series, basically I do a little documentary or a little breakdown of the history of the variants in Call of Duty World War II and what they're based off of in real life. Because some of these variants in Call of Duty World War II are real, and some of them weren't ever used in real life, and some of them were, but only for like a certain amount of time or whatnot. So let's take a trip down into the past and take a look at what the NOBEL 2 is based off of in real life. So my name is DezNik and welcome back to another video of mine, but let's get right into the video and take a look at the history of the NOBEL 2 heroic variant for the WW2. So I can't talk about the NOBEL 2 heroic variant until I talk about the normal WW3 that is in Call of Duty World War II. So let's talk a little history about it. So first off, the WW43 or the Karabiner 43 was a semi-automatic rifle developed by Germany during World War II. It was basically similar to the Tokarev SVT-40 that the Soviet Union had at the time, and this gun was in service from 1943 to 1945. Its designer was the Walter Manufacturing Company, and it was designed in 1943, and about 402,713 of the WW43s were built between 1943 and 1945. The WW43 was manufactured by the German Army due to the fact that the Soviet Union used the SVT-40s during the Operation Barbarossa, and they really just destroyed the German Army at the time, and the German Army was very confused at how a bolt-action rifle can beat the whole power of the German Army. So that's why the WW43 was manufactured for the German Army, but it soon became useless after a while because the MP40 was the main gun to go, because automatics were becoming a thing at the time and semi-autos were dying down a little. But after the German Army's defeat in World War II, some WW43s stayed in service for the Czechoslovakia People's Army for several years after World War II, but after that some of them were just really decommissioned and they were never ever used after that. But that's pretty much the history behind the WW43. There's not much about it, but now let's talk about stats compared with the Call of Duty World War II WW43 to see if they're kind of similar. So the weight of a WW43 in real life was about 10 pounds, or almost about 10 pounds, and the cartridge shot was a 7.92 by 57 millimeter Mauser, and it was a gas operated gun, and the effective feed system that it used was a 10 round detachable box magazine or a stripper clip. That's pretty much it for the stats of the WW43 in real life. Now let's talk about the stats of it in Call of Duty World War II. Now the only thing I could talk about is really the rate of fire and the magazine size. The magazine size was 12 rounds and it could be extended to 18 rounds, and the rate of fire was 517 rounds per minute, and it can go all the way to 550 rounds per minute. Now the normal Gewehr really didn't have a rate of fire since it was a semi-automatic rifle, but I don't know, I could say that's kind of similar to that, but the magazine size is not similar to the real life WW43, so I'm just going to say that the Call of Duty World War II WW43 is not historically accurate to the real life WW43. Now that's pretty much it for the WW43. Now let's talk about what we've all been waiting for, and that's what the NOBEL 2 is based off of. Now I'm kind of iffy on this, but I'm 100% sure that the NOBEL 2 is based off of the WW41, but I don't know which version, because there's two versions. There's the Walter version and the Mauser version. Now the WW41 in general was the prototype gun that eventually became the WW43 to be used in World War II for the Nazi Germany army. So the Walter Company and the Mauser Company were competing to basically get the good WW43 for Nazi Germany. So that is what the WW41 is, basically just a prototype for the WW43. But only one of them is the actual prototype, and the other one is a big failure that was just completely scrapped. So first off, I'm going to talk about the failure design, which was the WW41 Mauser version. And basically, this one was a version that accumulated a stripper clip into the round. It shot a same 7.92 by 57 millimeter Mauser as the WW43, but it was a very unreliable gun, said by many. It was just basically too bulky, too complicated, too unreliable, and too heavy. And the gas system failed on this gun a lot, and I mean a lot. And it was very noted into the notes for what could be the Gewehr 43. It was also a very inaccurate gun during testing, and the bullets would not go in the direction that you aimed for. But due to its stripper clip, it made it really long to reload, and soon the Gewehr 41 will advance into a box magazine like the Gewehr 43 has, but at the moment for the prototypes they used a stripper clip. Now for the Gewehr 41 Walter edition, this is the successful one that will soon become the Gewehr 43. It was basically somewhat the same thing, but ignored having any moving parts on the surface, and the auxiliary bolt handled in case the gas system failed. But both the Walter and the Mauser version, both their gas systems failed, and it made the gun malfunction a lot. This one also had a stripper clip, and this will soon switch out to the box magazine, but due to its stripper clip, it also made the Walter version really painstakingly long to reload. Now for how many were produced for the Gewehr 41 Walter and Mauser edition, really it's kind of hard. Some sources say 40,000 were made for the Walter, but some could say 145,000 were made for the Walter, so not many people know about how much were made for, or how much were produced for the Gewehr 41 Walter edition. But for the Mauser edition, about 7,000 were made, and 2,000 of them were basically deemed unusable. So a quick note, the bottom where the trigger is for the Nobel 2 in Call of Duty World War II is actually a bottom of the Gewehr 1888. Now I'm not going to say anything about the Gewehr 1888, it's just basically a late 19th century German bolt action rifle. Really the Nobel 2 is a mix of the Gewehr 41 Mauser, Walter, and the Gewehr 1888, but I'm not going to go into detail of the Gewehr 1888. That's pretty much all I could talk about for the Gewehr 41. There's not much info, just that at the end, the Walter edition was the one that was used to soon be the Gewehr 43, and the Mauser was just scrapped. So I guess it's good that a lot of them were manufactured, but not really good, because both of the Walter and the Mauser had really big problems, but the Walter had the less amount of problems than the Mauser. Now let's talk about real life stats and compare it to the Call of Duty World War II Nobel 2 to see if they're historically accurate. Now for the real life stats of the Gewehr 41. So both the Walter and the Mauser edition weighed 41 pounds, and they shot a 7.92 by 57mm Mauser. Now for the magazine, it had a 10-round detachable box magazine in the future, but it had a 10-round stripper clip as well. And the rate of fire for these guns was 20 to 30 rounds per minute. Now let's compare that to the Gewehr 43 in Call of Duty World War II, and none of that is accurate to the Gewehr 43 or the Nobel 2 in Call of Duty World War II, so they're not historically accurate at all. But thus, that is the end of this video, guys, and I hope you guys really liked this whole series, and I hope you guys learned a little something, because it's pretty interesting doing these and looking them up, and me doing all the research and finding out this and that. It's really interesting. I really do love this series. But if you guys like this video, drop a like, it helps me out a ton. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more of these content. I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember to hit the bell and subscribe button so you don't miss an upload. And also follow me on twitch.tv/DezNik45 to see my Battle Royale streams. I'm going to be streaming a lot of Battle Royale games, like from Realm Royale to Blackouts to the Battlefield 5 Battle Royale to still Fortnite and PUBG, just whatnot, whatever I'm feeling. And I'm planning on streaming on only Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but we'll see. Just right now, that is my goal, but I'm not going to be streaming a lot recently until I get my whole setup done with the whole streaming setup. But at the moment, I'll try to stream from every once in a while, but just still follow me on there to stay up to date. Also, what about cards and series plays right about now, and I'll put an description down below. The series plays is called the History of a Variant series. Basically, if you're wondering what is the history behind a Call of Duty World War II variant, this series is for you. I go down through a lot of research into finding out what these Call of Duty World War II variants are based off of in real life, and it's pretty interesting. So if any of this really interests you, then again, I highly recommend checking out this series after the video. But again, guys, that's basically pretty much it, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. And also comment down below what you found interesting about anything I said in this video. Did you find interesting that the Gewehr 41 Walter edition was the one that soon became the Gewehr 43, or did you find interesting that the Gewehr 43 was not used a lot and it was basically a gun that was kind of useless to be made? Just anything I would love to hear in the comments down below. But see you guys in my next video, and peace.